earlier. You were talking about how you had a chicken sandwich on a ciabatta roll for dinner.
I did. My mom also made some black bean hummus over the weekend for Easter. So I have no idea how you could recreate that, but that was delicious. So I put some of that on the ciabatta roll with a piece of cheddar cheese and lettuce and tomato, and I had a lovely little sandwich.
Nice, that sounds delicious.
It's good, very good.
All right, so after dinner, do you have any alcohol, any dessert?
I usually have a beer with dinner,
Okay.
maybe one after as well.
All right.
About 1 or 2 a night.
Sounds good. All right, so after we went over this, and when you were talking about your, just kind of the complications with work and feeling hungry, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not willing at all, and 10 being you would change today, how willing would you say you are to make some changes?
Oh, I definitely want to improve my habits with eating, to help me be a little bit more effective and a little bit more sustainable. So I'd say 9 or 10.
9 or 10, wow.
I'm willing to make some changes.
Okay.
I really haven't experienced the difficulty of meal planning before. I didn't think that there's too much to it, but I've been proven wrong.
All right. So you'd say that on a scale of importance, it would be about a 9 or 10?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. So I have a few things to go over with you here.
All right.
The first one would be just the My Plate. So this is put out by the USDA, and it's kind of, do you remember the food pyramids at all? They had those when we were younger.
Briefly, I remember it looked like a pyramid.
Yeah, so now they've actually changed it into a plate format.
Okay.
So this kind of, it's pretty self-explanatory, but they want you to kind of think of your plate and divide half of it in fruits and vegetables and fill that up. And then they want you to take the other half and do protein and whole grains. So it's not to say that you couldn't make, one pasta dish with whole wheat pasta and vegetables and cheese and have it all in one. That would be fine.
Gotcha,
It's just kind of, this is a good visual to think of when you're thinking about, oh, what could I bring for lunch? Kind of make it a checklist in your mind and think, all right, so I'm having some carrots and hummus. Maybe I can bring a banana, and then go down the list.
Sure. I don't think I'm getting all this in my lunches currently, so that's good.
It's a good checklist, so it's something to aim for, definitely, to think about when you have a meal. A more simplified version would be like a protein source, a carbohydrate, and a fat. And this can kind of help you do a checklist. We can go over some more specific ideas on what types of foods would go in each section, but it's definitely just helpful to have in the back of your brain.
That's great, thank you.
So these are a couple different examples of more specific things that you could do for lunch. So this is just kind of, it has these different sections that kind of correlate with the My Plate. So you can see the grain, protein, veggies, fruit, dairy, name of fun items.
Fun items?
Fun
Nice.
items, yeah. So these just have some examples. So say you wanted to do, you wanted a bagel. So you could take a bagel, and then you can just kind of go down the next category here, and you could put some deli meat on it. So you could do turkey, and then you could put lettuce and tomato there, bring an apple and yogurt. You don't really have to think about it. They're all just kind of laid out for you there.
Pretty simple too.
So that's another good handout on more specific items. This is more of a fun item. Thinking about you driving to work and making things compact. I know you live in a college apartment still, so storage, and you don't probably have a ton of Tupperware.
Space, yes.
So this is a good idea. This is something that's been popular lately. It's called salad in a jar. So you can actually get mason jars at Target, Menards for really probably about $12. I think they're about $1 a piece.
Okay.
And these are really great for making a whole salad and putting it all in one jar. So you could, I know you had mentioned at one point that you like to do salad wraps.
I do, yes.
So this is a great way. You can get all of your vegetables. You can put some of the fruit in there. You could have your healthy fat with an olive oil dressing, some cheese, or some nuts in here. And then it's all in one, and you just have to bring your wrap.
Perfect.
So this has some specific ideas too about keeping the lettuce on top, and then they have good ideas about carrots, edamame, chickpeas, some good salad fixings.
All right,
I thought
very
that
cool.
might be helpful as well.
I might have to try this out this week.
Yeah, that's a fun one. People like that.
Nice.
All right, you said you hadn't grocery shopped,
I have
but
not, no.
you know, for kind of keeping these ideas
Sure.
in the back of our mind, walking through and just thinking, okay, well, I have a carb that you really like, or you have a grain that you really like, and maybe brainstorming some other options of what things you could bring with that.
Sure,
Does
that sounds good to me.
All right, let's go take a look. Should we start in the pantry?
Sure, let's do that.
We can kind of bring some items here, maybe. Think through. Maybe we could do a 3 example meals type of thing.
I'm going to grab some little sample here.
Yeah, maybe put together 2 or 3 meals that you think, just 2 or 3 lunches that you think you could do, even if you only have a few items.
All right, what do we got in here? All right, well, we got some peanut butter.
All right.
I have some roll-ups. I like to do those pretty quick and easy. I have some black bean quinoa, some black beans. I also have rice, little microwave packets of rice that I have as well. And then some Triscuit Thin Crisps.
Okay, so maybe if we want to go through and you could kind of tell me which area these would fit in on here.
Sure.
You want to start with the Triscuits?
I think that would be a whole grain.
So what kind of ideas, if you had the Triscuits, kind of looking through the checklist
Sure.
and my plate, what would you bring with that?
I would probably bring some hummus. Or I also have guacamole that I like to bring with. I have little packets of those, so they're easily transportable for lunch. Would that be
Yeah, that
a
would
good
take
little
care
snack?
of your healthy fat type of, that's great.
okay? With the peanut butter, I would do just a sandwich. Put
Okay.
it on.
So if you had a peanut butter sandwich, what else would you bring to kind of complete your plate? I know you don't have,
Right, I
all
don't
of it
have a
here,
ton,
but-
on a tip, I like to have like little clementines around the house or
Okay, great.
apples, so
so that
I
would
could
take care,
combine
you'd
a,
have some,
I could have a sandwich with a fruit,
yeah.
and then where would the peanut butter fall under here?
So the peanut butter you could do, since you probably wouldn't be having any meat, it could count as a protein. It also has a lot of healthy fats in it
Okay.
as well. So you and your bread or your roll up would count as a whole
Perfect.
grain. So you'd just be missing the vegetable.
So if I bring like some carrots or
Yeah.
green beans on the side, perfect.
Yeah, that
And that
sounds
would
great.
give me the nutrients you think to make it through the day,
I think that'd be higher calorie. Would be, yeah, you check
Not-
off some more boxes.
not just all my little snacky foods.
Yeah. So what about the quinoa? What kind of meals? These look pretty on the go. These would be good. What else could you incorporate with this if you wanted to have a lunch?
That's where I struggle with. I'm not. I guess I have. I get these little fun things that are at the store because they look like they can be
Sure.
made easily, but then I realize that I'm not sure what I can put with them. I
Okay.
have. I know in my freezer I have frozen edamame right now,
Okay.
or frozen broccoli. I could put that with that.
Sure. So if we think about this here, so if you had the quinoa, you could check off which area?
Quinoa would be a whole grain.
Yeah. And then you said you had edamame.
Yep. So I would get the vegetable.
Sure. Those both, with the quinoa and the edamame, they're both pretty high in protein as well.
Okay.
So that would be good. So you would just need, what else? What else could you throw in there?
Toss in an apple.
There you
or
go. Yeah,
banana.
that'd be
Okay,
great.
perfect.
That would be great. I think you're getting it. Do you feel any more comfortable with that?
I think that these lists actually help out a lot with all the just different options of the what's a veggie and the options for protein and grains, because sometimes I get in a rut and I'm not quite sure what to get when I'm grocery shopping. Or
Are you someone that would benefit from, just using that list and keeping it in your car, and every time you grocery shop, you don't need a huge variety, but you just kind of know this is what,
I think so.
that would be good.
I think I might actually keep this right with me in the car, so I know when I'm going around, because everything I get, I would probably be right off of this list. So I usually, when I do grocery shop, I usually forget a column or two.
Okay. All right. Well, after kind of walking through your pantry and your fridge and freezer, kind of talking through all the handouts, I know I'd asked you before how motivated you were.
Mm-hmm.
So after going through everything, on a scale of of 1 to 10, how likely or how realistic do you feel that these changes would be for you to make?
I think that it seems like they are manageable changes to make, as well as having these lists and the visuals of how I can actually put lunches together that are simple and not involving too much preparation or forethought. I think that it is actually something that I will do and will benefit greatly from. So I think I'm highly likely to start using these tools a little bit better.
Would you say you're still around 9 or 10?
Yes, I
Okay.
think so.
Is there anything that you could see that would impede you from making these changes, or what would make it difficult?
For me, one of the biggest things is I don't like to grocery shop.
Okay.
So like we have been mentioning, I don't have a lot of food right now, but I still have to eat. But when I get done from work, it's usually late and I just want to come home, and I'm starving, so I want to have dinner.
Sure.
And I come home and look over a couple more things and go to bed. So I need to do a little bit more planning, I guess.
Okay.
So finding a better time to, maybe on a weekend, plan out my meals.
Sure. Okay, that sounds great. Maybe we could talk about just a few goals that could help make it a little bit more realistic for you.
Sure.
So would you say that when you're talking about packing your lunch, do you pack it every day, or are there some days when you get really hungry and you go out and get something?
I usually only go out if I am out of food.
Okay. How often do you think that happens?
Probably once every 10 days or so.
Okay.
Maybe 2 weeks tops. But I like to stay at the office and get stuff done throughout the day. But when I run out of food and I don't go grocery shopping, I gotta go out.
So maybe when we're thinking about some specific, just manageable goals you could do right now, do you think it would be good to, or realistic for you to pack a lunch that kind of reflects my plate or uses these handouts 3 days a week?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Manageable.
And in terms of grocery shopping, I think maybe something that we could look at is really utilizing things that have a long shelf life.
Okay.
So incorporating maybe some dried fruit or things that can be like frozen. I know you had mentioned the canned beans and quinoa being a great lunch. So grocery shopping, do you think it would be realistic to say once every 10 days,
I think so. I think
would that be manageable?
I think even maybe doing once a week to try to stay on top of it.
You'd want to try once a week? Okay.
I think that could be better, because then if I get through 10 days, chances are I'll push it off until the weekend
Right.
when I actually have time. So.
Okay, that sounds great. And then in terms of keeping things at work, do you have your own office?
I do.
Okay, so maybe we could think about keeping some of the things that don't require refrigeration. I know you had some nuts and
Yep.
raisins, which is a great start. But if you found a granola bar or maybe a meal bar that you liked, just
Sure.
maybe keeping a few other things there so that if there are those few days where you're like, I have no food here, you know you have a little bit of something that could help make it.
Do you have any good recommendations for those types of bars? I haven't eaten too many of them, just because there's so many out there. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Some are more candy bars, and some are more energy and
Sure.
power bars.
So I know you had mentioned, like when you were saying at work, you had the craisins, mixed nuts. So maybe something like a Quest bar. So those
Quest?
are Quest
Okay.
bars. Those have 20 grams of protein in them. So you'd be getting kind of some dried fruit, you'd be getting some instant sugar.
Sure.
You'd be getting some fat to help you feel full for a long time, and then you'd be getting the protein as well, which would be good.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you just find, some little granola bars that aren't too high in sugar, that you could add into the mix. To give
Do
you
they
some
sell
more-
those Quest bars at Cops or
Hy-Vee.
Century?
They sell them.
Okay.
They sell a lot of them at
I
Hy-Vee,
shop at
which
Hy-Vee,
is
so that
nice.
works out.
There you go. Yeah. Other ideas. Apples tend to have a pretty long shelf life. I know you said clementines too. Those
Yep.
might be good things to kind of toss in the drawer. And
Sure. We also do have I have the shelf space, but we also have a community refrigerator too.
oh, that's great.
That we all have a little area on, so.
Yeah, a good suggestion for that might be a few Greek yogurts. Those
Sure.
would be able to, pretty small, not take up a whole bunch of space, but you'd get a pretty filling snack.
Okay, well, that's a good idea.
Okay. So, I think that was everything that I had to go over. Do you have any more questions at all?
I don't think so. I think this really helps. This is a huge step in the right direction, I think, for my meal plan.
Great. I think think that with those goals, they seem manageable and like you're really willing to do it.
Absolutely.
And so I think you could really benefit.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.